The first question is, it seems like talent managers and agents have so many different priorities. How do I, as talent, ensure that I'm being represented properly when looking for representation?
I can jump in here. I have a lot of analogies for what a manager is supposed to do. And I think what's unique is understanding how the team works together holistically, because you can have a number of different people on your team, from a manager to an agent to a business manager to a publicist to a lawyer, and then countless other people as well, assistants, editors, producers, whomever. But I think that when it comes to priorities, the talent should be the number one priority. I describe it as getting in a car with somebody where your client is the driver and you are in the passenger seat. Sometimes you have a map and sometimes you don't, and sometimes the driver just wants to go a different way. You have to work together to get to that destination. And I think that every representative that's on this panel would probably agree with that, that it's really about servicing the best interest of the talent. It might mean disagreeing at times and it might mean making difficult decisions together, but it is really about having a conversation on a regular basis about the way that you're going to get to your destination.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Communication.
I agree with everything.
Go ahead, Lita.
And Sarah too. I'm just going to toss this in here. The other piece is you need to go with your gut. If you're meeting with someone and they feel weird or skeevy or someone you can't trust, listen to your intuition. Don't work with them.
Yeah.
Those are my.
Trust your gut is always good.
And if you already work with someone and you feel like you're not a priority, it is your responsibility to communicate. Because
Correct.
No one can read your mind and you are running your business, right? So in the way that you would need to treat any other person that you work with, extension of your team, it's your responsibility as the head of the team to communicate to the rest of the representatives or extensions of your team how you want them to be working in support of you. So make sure that you're able to articulate what your needs are, because people can't read your mind.
Yeah, I love to say, I can't fix a problem I don't know about. So you have to be really communicative all the time.
Awesome. Next question. As a smaller creator, what is my first step in finding representation? Do I need to have specific metrics to even be considered? So somebody wondering kind of, when to start considering representation, is there a specific number threshold? How would you guide people that are just starting out on sort of when to find someone? Anyone?
Lisa, I feel like you should answer this.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
managers are usually the first representatives, and then you get to go and sign with your big agency. So is there like an emerging talent how-to that you can share?
I think it has to do with a number of different factors. Like, are you pursuing this as a hobby, as a second job, as a something you want to turn into something major, or is it something that you want to pursue as your actual career? Every manager is different. Like, some managers won't sign until you have millions of followers, and some will sign when you have 1,000. It just really depends. And I think it's really just about prioritizing what you want in your career and thinking about who can help get you to that next level and what it is that you want from them. Like, are you focused solely on brand deals, or do you want to build an original business, or do you want to be a director, or do you want to be a singer, or do you want to be an actress or an actor? Like, all of those things will definitely vary. But I think that it's a purely subjective thing. I would say if you are small, I wouldn't hesitate to reach out and ask for feedback from managers and just say, what do you think of my channel? Do you think like there's potential here? And hopefully someone sees that potential and is able to hop on and then support you in getting to the next phase of your career.
There's one thing that I would just add or speak to just on my personal philosophy around it is, the people that I look for, I don't think about, numbers in that way. I think about talent. Is your stuff engaging? Is it entertaining? I think Caroline would agree, right? Whether it's musicians or actors or lifestyle personalities, if you're resonating with people, we will find you.
Mhm.
Right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be that, you've gotten, millions of views on something, but it does mean that there's like a creative voice that you have. And so I think it's important for you to make sure that you're honing and following your, creative path. And you don't have to worry too much about being discovered, because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, we'll find you. And I know it's a little more ethereal, but that's the truth. I lead with passion. So there you go.
Awesome. What would each of you say to the young woman watching this session who aspire to be a leader in this industry as well? Especially when, so many young women find themselves being overlooked in the workplace. Any advice for young women that want to do what you guys do?
I feel like we have a lot and we're just being respectful. But I think, Caroline, why don't you go first and we just go around the horn?
I mean, for me, it's just like you got to push. And my whole thing was just making sure that, I already naturally knew the music, right? Because I work in the R&B and hip hop space. So I always would go out of my way to know everything, even from before. I knew I wanted to do this because I would pay attention to who the songwriter was, who the producer was, and just really studying, even though we're like out of school, right? Like you should always continue to research and study, and when you're in these rooms, you're able to give the feedback and people will notice, that you know your shit.
Totally. I love that feedback of like people will notice you know your shit, because that's so it that like I always know when someone's put in time to a cover letter or an email, like, and when they haven't, they're just like sending out mass stuff everywhere. But I would say like, yeah, be patient and be the best in the room. I think as women, I'm sure we all have our own fair share of fun stories we can tell. But I would say just be undeniably good, and be patient too. Like not everybody will see your value, and I think that goes for everybody. And not everybody will respect you, and not everybody will believe in you the way that you do. But as long as you do, you'll get there. And I think I would say that to any talent too. Like just be patient with yourself, be easy on yourself. Like just don't worry, you're gonna get there.
Love the encouragement. The next question is from another audience member. I'm interested in working with traditional and musical talent. What sort of education or degree do you recommend pursuing as I start applying for college? What about internships? So I think this sounds like a high schooler kind of seeking to get into music talent management, or sort of working with them as, I guess, as an agent. So yeah, what do you guys recommend for people starting out in terms of college education?
I think honestly, any major works. You don't have to go to a school that has music business management or music business. I feel like music, all talent representation, right? It's dealing with personalities. So I feel like any major works. I think the main thing is figuring out where you want to intern and going to those companies and reaching out early. And I interned at so many companies. I suggest when you're in college, try out every company, and see what you like. Because you may actually go somewhere and be like, you know what, I didn't like doing the A&R thing. I actually like the representation side, or I didn't really like representation, but I love the marketing and the branding side, So I would say definitely look into internships, look at them early, And I personally majored in political science, but I feel like sociology, psychology, any of those really work. Communications.
Yeah, I agree. And I would just add, listening to all of our stories, we've all shared with you that it wasn't necessarily our intention to get into representation. So I would just also add, be open to the possibilities, right? So, to Caroline's point, get internships, try it out, see if you like it, and follow the stuff that sort of feels good and that your interests lie in. But you got to get out there and try it, make a decision without doing that first.
And viewer, good on you for being in this conversation right now. Good on you for paying attention to these kinds of panels and spending your time trying to learn what you can, especially in a digital first conference. I think that's a really interesting observation. The representation on this panel is music and digital, and we find that those worlds are combining, more quickly than ever. And really, again, I think it comes down to the distribution, which is how do you connect with your audience? How do you build a fan base? How do you grow your community? So good on you for being here today, and keep going.
Yeah, I think each of us has a really unique background. Like I had mentioned, I have a dance degree, so like I don't think it matters. My experience at CAA was really incredible because I was a floater, so I was able to cover every single department. I worked in lit, legal, music, endorsements, like all the departments. So having that experience really helped me. I think working at an agency or major company like that is like getting an MBA in entertainment. I remember I sat next to somebody who had a JD MBA from Harvard, and I had a dance degree from a school you've never heard of. So it just really is about like working really, really hard, and loving it. Like I am obsessed with pop culture. I'm obsessed with the internet. I consume at an obscene level that makes everybody feel weird. So like just enjoy the work and like want to do it, because I think that is a big part of it.
Awesome. Next question from the audience. Do you have to live in a specific city or market like LA or New York to succeed in this industry? How much of a role does your location play in your career success?
I'm team LA all day. I feel like you have to be where the work is. So my opinion is yes, you need to be in LA or New York, a major entertainment hub.
Though we'll see what happens post 2020. Who knows? Not to get political here, but who knows what will happen to our bubble. But no, I agree with Arlita. I think it's very helpful to be here where the industry lives and breathes, and where you can establish your relationships with people.
That's fair enough. All right. What are your hopes for growth in representation in general in the coming years? So what are some things that you'd like to see change or evolve in the coming years in terms of representation?
I think the cream always rises to the top. I would love to see, significant experts. I think we will see people, like major names coming out of the digital industry and become household names, which I think is always really great and helps push the industry forward. I would like some really amazing professional people and that to keep growing. And yeah.
Yeah, I think one important thing is really not focusing on what other people are doing or what your peers are doing, but really focusing on yourself. And it's hard because we live in this digital era right now where you're on Instagram or whatever, TikTok, and you're seeing people blow up and you're like, when is it going to be me? But to Lisa's point, you got to be patient, right? And just keep at it. And just, if I looked at all my peers, I'd be like, wait, I'm not doing enough. And you're constantly like fighting yourself. So just really focus on yourself, and build.
That's real talk right there.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. And I also think you got to focus yourself on solutions. Like Sarah brought up that, we're all working remotely, right? And because of the global pandemic, because of where we are in the world, things aren't going to go back to exactly how they were before. And I actually think that that's pretty awesome, because it's time for us to focus ourselves on the solution, right? Let's expand and innovate into the next thing. Let's broaden our minds and hearts to what's possible, right? I think all of us, and obviously in anything that you do, you're going to have tenacity, but I know all of us didn't get to where we are now by listening to others and accepting no's and accepting limitations. And so this is, a really extraordinary time to be alive. And I know it's at times very tough and sad, but it presents really awesome opportunities. And so in the terms of representation, I always think of myself as like agent 3.0 or 4.0. I think I'm the next generation version of what we're doing. And my hope is that we continue to evolve and expand, because we all win when that happens.
Yes, Lita.
Yeah. I'd love to know sort of what's one thing that you guys wish that you knew before entering the industry? What's one thing that, that you feel like would have been good to know 15 years ago, maybe before you got into this?
I have an answer to that. Should I go?
Yeah.
I wish I knew that the internet doesn't sleep, and that no matter what you think your deadline is, there's going to be another deadline 24 hours later, because this job is constant. And that is one thing that I think is atypical from most of the entertainment industry. Most industries, whether it's actors or actresses or even musicians or even athletes, are on cycle, right? They go on cycle. They're an actor that's promoting a film and then they're on cycle, or they're an athlete who's in training before the season. And on the internet, we are always on. So it's our opportunity, and it's also our curse. So that's the one thing I wish I had known.
I feel like we just get more and more tied to the internet every day. Do you guys do anything to log off or decompress? I mean, I feel like with the jobs like you guys have, you do have to be so online. I'm just wondering, if you guys ever take breaks or anything like that. Make any active choice to log off.
Yeah, Lisa. What breaks do you take?
I do.
I like chaos.
There's a point where I'm very proud of myself that I don't take my phone into my bedroom when it's time to sleep anymore. I'm very proud of myself for that. And it's helped a lot. And all the things that I thought that I would miss, I don't miss. I haven't missed, I'll get to it when I wake up.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good boundary.
I have no boundaries. I use TikTok to decompress. It's my favorite platform. I think it's wonderful. It makes me laugh. No, I'm not great at boundaries. I was just joking with my husband, like we only exist in the middle of the eye of a storm. Like we're just constantly in chaos. And like I had a very nothing day yesterday and like didn't know what to do with myself and just decided to like doom spiral on Twitter, which is bad. I don't know, man. Send me your tips. Arlene, I might do that. I might keep my phone out of my bedroom.
Listen, you have to, because sleep is important. It's really, 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 really important. Actually, one of our colleagues, Caroline, sent out an email, a podcast about sleep. And the thing about sleep is that it's really, truly a performance enhancer. When you are constantly slept, you haven't slept, you're basically running around drunk or buzzed. Like that's your mental capacity. And because what we do, we're making decisions constantly, and it is, high pressured, and there is stress, lots of stress, and there's always something that you're involved with. You gotta operate at your peak performance, and sleep helps you do that.
I hope that
Please,
when
and
they
voting,
are,
vote tomorrow, please.
I was just gonna say, I hope that when the team VidCon is editing this to post it and they're like cutting out all of the best moments, they just lead with "We are running around drunk all the time" as like the clickbait title.
That's the
Listen, it's gonna
clickbait.
get a lot of clicks.
It's true. I'm wondering from you guys, like I feel like you guys are constantly looking at talent in all of these different new emergent platforms. And I know you guys mentioned TikTok. How do you suss out new platforms, and when do you really sort of start to recruit talent from these platforms, or when do you sort of realize that a platform is worth working with talent? How do you kind of evaluate talent on new platforms that are just emerging themselves?
It's a very good question.
It's a great
I feel
question.
like
Did you know TikTok was going to be a hit? Like, did you ever?
I get on everything really early just because like you just never know. And I think when I start using it myself personally on a daily basis, when it becomes part of my own user behavior, then I imagine it's probably becoming user behavior for other people. Um, like I'm finding that like no one's using Instagram feed anymore. Like people don't scroll through the feed, but they do through stories, reels, and IGTV a little bit only because of the explore page. So I'm just like try to be observant of what's working and doing. Although I was sitting with a friend of mine who is in his mid 30s like me, and he was watching Facebook video for hours, and I was like, wait, you do this? Like I was so stunned by the behavior because I didn't know anybody who like logs onto Facebook to watch video content. So it was really interesting to also like observe the way that other people consume as well. But for me personally, it's my own user behavior.
For me,
My very,
oh,
go ahead, Lita.
go for it, Sarah. Go.
I was just gonna say my honest answer is that when Vanessa Pappas went over to TikTok, I started paying attention to it. I've known her for a very long time. She did amazing things at YouTube. So when that exec went over to TikTok, I knew that she was going to do great things. So that's my honest answer.
I was just gonna say that for like the rest of my colleagues at CAA, we all have different points of view on this. My personal preference is I wait for the talent to pop from it. So, and what that means to me is you find someone special, and it's less about the platform, it's just that they happen to be on the platform. It's the content, it's who they are, it's what they're creating. That's what calls me. So Tabitha Brown is actually the first talent that I've signed that who's traditionally is TikTok, right? She was on Facebook before, but TikTok was the platform that everyone really started to come to get to know her from. And so yeah, it's that's my point of view. That's why I keep harping on talent, because I think you got to work on your craft. And I understand that you're as a young person, sometimes you're just exploring and figuring out what it is, but own what makes you you and just focus on that, and we'll find you.
Awesome. I love that.
Caroline, I genuinely want to know what you listen to.
What do I listen to?
Like, yeah, like what are, because I'm obsessed with music. So I'm always like, who are your favorite artists? Like, what gets you excited?
Yes, I want to know this too, because I only find music through TikTok now, and I need to know what's actually good.
You mean you find artists or you find records on TikTok?
I just hear a song on TikTok and I'll be like, oh, I like that. I'll listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, I think that's like the Doja Cat. What's that song? Oh my God, I'm blanking on it.
Say so.
It was like Say So exploded, and then everyone was like, oh my God, Doja Cat. But again, music industry, Doja Cat's been doing her thing for years, I mean, how I find it, I mean, it's word of mouth. It's word of mouth. I still go on SoundCloud. I still go on YouTube. Like occasionally, I mean, Instagram will have it too, where I'm like following someone. But I mean, right now I'm listening to Giveon, who is a new R&B artist. He's incredible. I mean, I'm listening to her, Ella May, lots of R&B right now. Daniel Caesar, Victoria Monet. I'm just going through this list. I love Rico Nasty. She's a rapper from the DMV. She's not new, but she's like on the newer side. And there's an explosion of amazing, women rappers now that are actually getting their shine. Not only just at Cardi B, but if you look, I mean, there's so many that are so talented and can spit. Like Chica, she can out rap anybody. So. But Lisa, I'll send you, and please send me because I'm very obsessed with Bretman Rock. I love that kid.
What?
What's so funny is he'll play a record, these kids are listening to these records so early. I remember when he played a Mulatto record, I was like, wow, how does he know Mulatto already?
Yeah.
This is, she kind of blew up and before she got on the XXL cover. So like a lot of the creators are, they are really clever with their music choices, and they're the ones that are kind of like blowing things up when they do something with it, So I don't know. I'm very impressed with the young talent these days. When I watch TikTok, maybe I'm too old, but I'm like, how the hell did they edit it like this? This is perfect, I'm very, very impressed. So.
You know what, Caroline, that's a really good point. And thanks for acknowledging that, because I do think one thing, whether you're a creator or a representative or anybody who's a part of this industry, like these creators are making content, but they're also making culture. And I think we forget that sometimes. So I think that's a really good point that you bring up is like, yes, like seeding music to influencers is not just like seeding music to influencers. It's about like being a part of the cultural conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%.
Awesome. We are at time now, but thank you guys so much for your time and for chatting. And it was great to connect with you guys virtually. Hopefully we'll be all together again at some point soon, IRL. But thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your time.
Thank you
You're
all.
welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
Find us on the internet.
Everybody.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.